and welcome. This is Amhara Media Corporation, Amhara TV News. I am Gaila Damu. Stay with us. National Rehabilitation Commissioner Tashome Toga said the government of Ethiopia is working with commitment to ensuring reintegration of former combatants into the society and lead a peaceful life. Ababa Brahani reports.
As part of the implementation of the peace agreement signed by the federal government and the TPLF, consultation focused on national rehabilitation issues was held with key stakeholders. The National Rehabilitation Commission was established following the peace agreement signed between the federal government and the TPLF. During the occasion, Tashome said, in accordance with the peace agreement, the Commission will disarm combatants, bring them to a center, provide appropriate rehabilitation and support them to participate in the development, peace and democracy building. He said that the beginning of the national rehabilitation consultation also showed that there was trust between the two parties, adding that activities started to ensuring reintegration of former combatants into the society and live peaceful life. Noting the terrible damage caused by the war, the commissioner stated that it has given lesson to Ethiopians to stop and reflect. We should say no to war in the future and focus on collaboratively building Ethiopia. Moreover, he elaborated, the government has been carrying out huge activities with respect to implementing the peace agreement, and it is also working with determination to ensure the success of the disarmament and reintegration of the combatants into the society. The commissioner further elaborated that ex-combatants will be given all the necessary support to lead a stable life like any other citizen. For this to happen, Tashome underscored the commitment of politicians and other stakeholders is crucial. He finally called on ex-combatants to prepare themselves to work hard for the development of their country and people with their energy and knowledge. Senior official of TPLF, Getachew Redda, said on his part that the National Rehabilitation Program will play a great role in allowing former combatants to participate in development activities after disarmament. Following the signing of the peace agreement between the federal government and the TPLF, disarmament is the first step for former TPLF fighters to reintegrate in the society. He also pointed out that not only disarmament, but rehabilitation works should be implemented in a coordinated manner, noting that the rehabilitation program plays a key role to the national development. Getachew emphasized the importance of strengthening the country's interest by implementing the program effectively. He also urged pertinent bodies to exert efforts with a strong commitment and maintain the implementation of ongoing peace process. Resident representative of the UNDP in Ethiopia, Turhan Saleh, said on his part that they are happy to see that Ethiopia has come out of the challenging situations it has faced over the past 2 years. Expressing Ethiopia at the turning point of history that will lead the country to a transition from conflict to lasting peace, he said that the United Nations will continue to reinforce its support for the country's peace and development activities.
This is a watershed moment in Ethiopia. It is the responsibility as well of the international community to stand with Ethiopia, with you, at this crucial time. The United Nations will play its full part and will continue to advocate energetically for our development partners to re-engage fully with Ethiopia. Supporting DDR will be an essential part of our role. Based on a request from the government of Ethiopia, we are already assisting the National Rehabilitation Commission, NRC, as a first step.
He assured that in this process, they will play their role in supporting the efforts of the government to ensure reintegration of former combatants into the society.
The World Food Programme has stressed the importance of quickly prioritizing the needs of conflict and drought-affected people in Ethiopia and support them to build resilience and make sure that they do not stuck in long-term relief. Bukradi Zawdu tells us more.
In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, World Food Programme representative and country director Claude Jibedar said most of the people who have been displaced due to conflicts have the possibility to cultivate and take care of their own food needs. He added, saying that the one thing that he believes they should prioritize very quickly is enhancing people's capacity to feed themselves.
The one thing that I believe we should prioritize very quickly is people's capacity to feed themselves. Because once they can feed themselves, they can focus energy, capacity, resources on a lot of other challenging development areas that they have to face. But we need to make sure that we don't get stuck in long-term relief and humanitarian response, that we can step up the other support that the communities need to build their own resilience so that they can be able to face other shocks and then continue their development.
Regarding access to conflict-affected areas, the country representative pointed out that now World Food Programme has access to most of northern Ethiopia. Highlighting drought-affected areas as the other priority of World Food Programme, Jibedar said addressing the immediate and the long-term impact of climate change is crucial.
We need to see that not only do we provide food assistance and other non-food assistance to the affected communities, but we have to find a way of helping them get back on their feet, helping the people who cultivate, if it means accessing water. The people who are pastoralists, they need to be able to have water and fodder for the cattle. Of course, we will support them with food as long as they cannot, but very quickly we need to take this as a priority.
According to him, there is an emergency for development because the relief for humanitarian response cannot address the longer-term problems that people are facing.
We are here to support the government in everything that the government is doing for its people. I know there is commitment from the government to work on addressing immediate needs. There is also commitment because we are looking at what the government is doing in also addressing some of those longer term needs of the community. So my appeal is to the donors to help us, help the government, help the communities so that we can really speed up the recovery from climate change, from conflict, so that we can speed up the resilience of the communities, and we will get rid of relief. We can get rid of relief food. So I think it is a top priority.
He also urged donors to help the government and help the communities to speed up recovery from climate change and from conflict.
France ambassador to Ethiopia, Remy Marcoux, said that the French government is keen to elevate its long-standing diplomatic relations with Ethiopia, moving from assistance to investments. Brown Work and has more.
The closing ceremony of year-long celebration of the 125th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Ethiopia and France was held at the French embassy in Addis Ababa. All series of the events were closed with the award ceremony of the mural completion paintings on the wall of embassy buildings by young Ethiopian artists. Efforts depicting Ethio-France cooperation, among others, in the areas of education, archaeology and heritage, literature, architecture, cinema were on display to mark 125th anniversary. In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, Ambassador Remy Marcoux said the aforementioned areas of cooperation were very important to show that the relations are very rich, dense and diversified. It is important to have regular bilateral visits, the ambassador said, citing the recently visits by French delegation in January to Ethiopia and Prime Minister Abiy's visit to France, meeting with President Emmanuel Macron. He explained that it is very important to have this high-level exchange in order to define the priorities of future projects.
Our first priority is to support the implementation of the peace agreement. So we had meeting. I had meeting with the Rehabilitation Commission. I also attended the meeting on transitional justice. So that's two key elements of the peace agreement in which we're ready to support.
Regarding the current situation, the ambassador said the evolution of the situation in Ethiopia is very encouraging, citing the implementation of the November 2022 peace agreement.
We can build on 125 years of friendship, of respect and mutual trust. So this is a very solid foundation to expand the relation, and that's what we intend to do now that the peace is consolidating in Ethiopia. So we'll be able to attract new investors in areas which are of common interest. So that's mainly agriculture, energy and logistics.
In addition to this, he said they have already engaged in project of reconstruction, currently rehabilitating the Desi hospital, and they will soon sign an agreement to rehabilitate the Abala hospital. The ambassador pointed out that they also support the resumption of farming activities in the three regions affected by the war, so there is a short term that they support the peace process. He noted some 1,700 French companies are based in Africa. French President visited 18 African countries and paid a visit to Ethiopia in 2019. He noted that Ethiopia holds a unique place in such rich relations as it is our oldest partner on the continent.
Ethiopia's ambassador to Pakistan said that the investment of Pakistani business persons who have been exploring investment options in Ethiopia last week could be $1 billion in manufacturing sector. Mo Domliye has the details.
Pakistani investors have been exploring business and investment opportunities in Ethiopia during the past week. Ambassador Jamal Becker told Ethiopian news agency that the business delegation found Ethiopia rich with immense natural resources and untapped potential, which make the country a prime location for foreign direct investment. Subsequent to their visit, the business persons appear likely to invest $1 billion in major prioritized manufacturing areas.
The opportunities, priority areas of government in agriculture, agro-processing, manufacturing, ICT, mining, all tourism. So the priority area for them is aligned with our priority. Number one, there are agro-processing technology that can manage and expand in agricultural products, agro-processing, which is very now. The second is we have chemicals, which was all used for a different manufacturing. Packaging, which is backbone for manufacturing industry. Textile, which is also the same. Pharmaceutical companies, surgical, all of them, if you see, it is a priority areas of the government.
According to the ambassador, Ethiopia and Pakistan will sign memorandums of understanding in areas of investment, trade and establishment of industrial zone.
This is the outcome, and already linkage is made among them. So these 71 investors who came, they basically already has got partner joint venture to establish. Some of them already they have made networks among them. So this people to people, business to business, government to business has been strengthened, and the opportunities also realized.
He explained that the diplomatic paradigm is based on how to holistically view and ensure Ethiopia's national interest in the fast-changing global dynamism by diversifying partners in a way that can collaborate, support and advance mutual interests. With this perspective, the ambassador said Ethiopia opened its mission in Pakistan just 6 months ago, and the two countries are collaborating in many ways at the international and regional levels.
When we go there, we have outlined and prioritized areas of focus. Number one is political engagement. So Ethiopia has got good intentions to work closely with Pakistan to ensure political issues at global and regional level. One of the issue of cooperation is collective security. Ethiopia believes that collective securities, peace and security of one is connected to the other. So we cannot, that is why we deploy our young and vibrant military who are very capable and disciplined, on very different fronts to ensure and sacrifice for others' peace. The same is true Pakistan, follow this peacekeeping approach. So there is a marriage of convenience to work together on this area. So apart from this, Pakistan believes also during the very testing time, they have standed with Ethiopian people and government.
Ambassador Jamal appreciated Pakistan for its solidarity with Ethiopia at the international stage during very testing times following the conflict in the northern part of Ethiopia. He further disclosed that Ethiopian Airlines will resume a new flight to Karachi, Pakistan in May 2023. He stated the flight would catalyze economic diplomacy between Ethiopia and Pakistan and its surroundings through attracting giant investors and bringing an influx of tourists.
You're watching Amhara Media Corporation, Amhara TV News, and now let's proceed to News Beyond Borders. South Africa has completed its first 3D printed low-cost construction home. The 3D printing technique used can build a house in less than 24 hours. The initiative is funded by the Department of Science and Innovation and implemented by University of Johannesburg Faculty of Civil Engineering and the Built Environment in partnership with the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Human Settlements and AfriSam. The university's 3D printing machine is valued at 6 million rand. University of Johannesburg outgoing Vice Chancellor and Principal Professor Shidizi Marwala said the 3D printed house is designed with strict adherence to the best practices of thermodynamics. Nairobi's Palette Cafe has a unique business model with a majority of its staff having hearing impairments. General Manager at Palette Cafe, Susan Watkins, explains the story and inspiration behind opening Palette Cafe and establishing it the way it is empowerment, and they need to empower people who are differently abled. Employment opportunities in Kenya for people with hearing impairment is not easy to come by, and the move by Palette Cafe has provided a lifeline for those working in the cafe. According to data from Financial Services Group found in South Africa, university students in the country will fork out an average of $3,000 in 2023. And Netanyahu has the story.
In the past week, students from the University of Witwatersrand shut down the campus in protest over the exclusion of students who cannot afford to register for the new academic year and pay off debt. One of the student leaders says they're demanding that the university doesn't leave academically deserving students stranded. Wits University Student Forum interim chairperson Langil Magagula said financial exclusion is not a valid reason to bar students from starting the new academic year.
The core problem here is that students are unable to register due to financial reasons. Most students who are unable to register are academically deserving to register and enter into the university, but they are unable to because of financial reasons, and that is one of our major demands.
Last week, students at Wits University were seen sleeping in public places due to delays in securing financial aid for accommodation. A final year BLO student, Okokame Sipamo, expressed concern that financial aid for accommodation continues to be struggled every year.
At the current moment, I don't have funding. I am appealing financial aid. For the past years it was okay, then this year it became a struggle because I didn't have funding at all, so like I had struggles of getting accommodation, registering, stuff like that.
Jamilule Mubanjau, Bachelor of Laws student, recalls repeatedly applying for bursaries but with no luck.
I studied a BA Law and I'm doing the 2-year postgraduate LLB, and because financial aid has defunded the 2-year and 3-year stream of LLB, I'm now stuck without funding. I was fortunately able to register, however I don't know how I'm going to cover my fees, and I wasn't able to get into accommodation because I don't have financial aid.
7 years ago, fees must fall protests erupted on campuses throughout South Africa. Students were calling for free and quality literary education. Langel said this is the perfect time to put pressure on the government to provide free education.
This is Amhara Media Corporation English service, and now let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate. That's all the news we have for today. I'm Gaila Damu. Thanks for watching and Apps of the Week. Next up, stay tuned.